Okay, so here's all the stuff for the sourdough bread. Sourdough starter, Kamut flour, K-A-M-U-T. Oh, I'll show you what the berries look like. You can get a very good picture of them. As you can see, they're kind of not a very good angle or anything. Anyways, they're kind of like, it's almost like you can see through them. Yeah. Anyways, and here is the kamut flour I've already ground up, and then the rye flour already ground up. And then I'm gonna hand the phone to my sister so that way she can actually video me making the bread. Okay. So the first thing I do is I get 2 quarts of sourdough starter. Now remember, anytime you touch a sourdough starter, to always use either glass or plastic. Never actually use metal directly in the sourdough starter. You don't have to be as messy as I am going to be, but I can't help being messy, so it kind of just happens. Okay. And I washed my hands first. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I think it'd probably gross most people out if you didn't. And then I'm putting it in a metal pan because once it's out of the sourdough starter bowl itself, it doesn't really matter if you use metal anymore. And then another quart of this. I'm going to go ahead and use 2.5 quarts just because I want more starter in there. Okay. Done with that. And then I'm just going to rinse my hands off really quick so I can do this next part easier. And I'm going to really quick get some rye flour and just get my starter. Built up again. So it's cold water. I use glass and plastic. And then my starter is ready to go back to sitting on top of our fridge. And I'll need to change this bowl out because that bowl is looking pretty nasty, but I'll do that. Okay. Now, I should have got another clean quart jar. I'll just wash the old one.
L-I-M-B.
But it's too far to get another quart jar, so I'm just going to use this as pretend like it's a quart jar. Anyways, so what we do here is we get about 6 quarts. This is not a quart jar. This is a bit of a bigger cup. Okay, we do about, actually I'd say probably 5 of these. 1, and this is the rye flour. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I do about 6 of these or so. 1, 2, 3, and this is the kamut. As you see, the kamut is kind of, you can bring the camera up closer. The rye flour is kind of more brownish color, and the kamut's more of a yellowish color. What was the last number I said? 3? 4? Okay. I'm just going to pour the rest of this in here because it looks about right. Okay, so, and then I get 2 quarts of water, cold water. So there's 1 quart of water. Two quarts, and then I'm going to use all of this salt.
I do have a question.
Let's use at least like 2 tablespoons or so. I think that's more like 1 tablespoon. That's all I could find. So that's all we're going to use. Oh, there's more salt over there. Oh, never mind.
Okay.
It's showing the big jar of salt. I could not see it. Another tablespoon of salt. And then just gonna stir it all up. And then, you know, in normal bread how you will need flour in afterwards. You don't do that with sourdough bread because, yeah, it's a different kind of bread. So, but we do add water as we go. So we had the 2 quarts we put in there, but then we also continue to add and make sure it's the right texture. In the THM book, it says to make sure the dough is the texture of oatmeal, which is like really weird because everyone makes oatmeal different textures. But once I actually made the sourdough bread at Mrs. Campbell's and saw how she made it, it kind of made more sense. Basically, they just mean it needs to be really sticky and more gooey than not. So let's see here. Let's get this. Okay. More water. Looks like I'm going to end up using a lot of water this time. Get the rest of that starter out. It always makes a big mess. Well, not always, but yeah. Okay. I think this is about the right texture here. I got it all mixed up pretty good. There's like no clumps of flour or salt. That'd be really nasty if you had clumps of salt. But yeah, there's nothing of that left in here. And on the bottom, all around the edge, there's no flour anywhere, I don't think, anymore. Make sure. Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a little bit left, but just kind of like hide it. Okay, so this shows texture. So as you can see, it's kind of like, if it was regular bread, this would be a flop. But it's not regular bread, it's sourdough bread. So it's kind of like oatmeal, I guess. Okay, so I usually have my siblings oil me bread pans. I just use coconut oil and yeah, just coconut oil. And I use a big bread pan because we make so much sourdough bread. And I also have those smaller bread pans there for leftovers. So just kind of put it in. It doesn't look like I made this much this time. I usually make a lot more than this. Okay, 1 second. Let me get some water. So, we fill it in, because this is going to rise. We fill it in so it's about halfway full in here. We get water, and we smooth it down everywhere. You can be generous with the water. I mean, don't pour it on like a crazy person, but you can be pretty generous with it because you want it to be all nice and smooth looking. We got that, and see there's still enough left for a couple loaf pans. Anyway, so I will put that in there later on, like in a few minutes once this video is done. And anyways, I let this sit for about 7 or 8 hours, so it's, I don't know what time it is right now. What time is it? 9:20. 9:20, so it's 9:20 right now. So I'll let it sit probably till about 4 or 5. 8:20? Oh, it's 8:20. Okay, I'll still let it set for about 4 or 5 because it needs to set for at least 7 or 8 hours, but the longer the better. So I'll let it set for about 4 or 5 and then I'll bake it. And I'll bake this for about probably a little over an hour. I don't really set a timer because I just kind of check it when I feel like it. And basically it's done when when you can touch the top and it's hard, but it's not too hard. It can still be a little soft, like it can have like a little bit of give to it, like touch it and it can kind of not bounce, but almost bounce. Anyways, and then it's done. And I'll post a few pictures of what it looks like after it's done. So, sounds good. Oh, and one other thing. That's my videoer.